I've flown business and first class on Emirates, Etihad, Qatar, ANA, Lufthansa, La Polish, Air France, pretty much every major international carrier. I've done it for pennies on the dollar using credit card points. Chicago to Poland in business class for 50,000 points and less than $100 in taxes. A cash ticket on that same flight around $5,000. So that's a 10x redemption right there. In this video presentation from my desk, I'm gonna walk you through the exact system that I use. It's a 3-phase framework. Accumulate the right type of points, multiply them through transfer bonuses, and redeem them for the deals that most people don't even know exist. It's insane. I'm gonna cover the credit cards I actually keep in my wallet for everyday spend, the 2 newsletters that I pay for that alert me when Premium Cabin Award opens up, the deal softwares that I use to snipe seats in real time, and how to read the aircraft seat maps so you don't book the wrong version of business class and end up in some inferior seat. But none of this works without strong personal credit, so that's where we're gonna start. Buckle up. All right, what's going on? In this video, in this coaching call for point stacking, we're gonna go over a ton of different topics. This is gonna be basically a masterclass in itself. I have a slide deck I'm gonna reference some key points on. I'm gonna talk about how to build strong credit so you can get some of these top travel cards. We're gonna go into different newsletters, how you find the deals. We're gonna go into using the deal softwares, setting alerts, as well as how to accumulate the most amount of points. So we're going to learn how to accumulate the points. We're going to learn how to multiply the points, and we're going to learn how to redeem the points and what you need to do on your credit beforehand so you can get access to these top credit cards. Most important is going to be to build strong credit. Without strong credit, without a good credit score, you're not going to be able to get some of these top travel credit cards, can't get the sign-up bonuses, can't earn the most amount of points when you spend on every transaction, etc. So the first thing is to look at your credit score. I like to look at my score IQ. It's about 30-ish bucks a month, and it shows you your FICO score. I like looking at my score IQ because it shows FICO, where if you look at Credit Karma, it will show you your Vantage score. The Vantage score can be very inflated. If you check your Vantage score on Credit Karma for free, it could say you have a 780 score. But if you check your FICO, it might only show you having a 695. This just happened on a credit stacking coaching call, or our mentorship credit stacking, when an individual had like an 85% difference in the scores. So imagine you trying to apply for a top travel credit card and thinking you have a 780, but actually your FICO score is a 695. That is not going to work. So step number 1 is going to be looking at your personal credit, understanding where you are. Okay, the first thing we look at on the credit report is going to be your payment history. How many late payments in the last 2 years? How many collections? Do you have any collections at all? If there is significant derogatoriness or even any late payments in the last 2 years, you're going to want to start a credit repair service first. We have a credit repair service. It's called simplerepairservices.com. We can dispute late payments, dispute collections, and generally get those removed in a 2 to 6 month period. That's simplerepairservices.com if you need the help. So that's number 1, is looking at your payment history. Then we're going to look at the average age of your account and also the utilization, basically the debt on your personal credit cards, that is balances on those credit cards. So if your average age is under 2 years, you for sure would want to get added as an authorized user of an older account. So basically, if you get added as an authorized user to someone else's account, that account shows up on your report and reports as an authorized user, not a primary credit card, but an authorized user. If the account you get added onto has a $10,000 limit and is older than 5 years, it's going to generally increase the average age of your credit profile, and you can check that on Experian.com, and it will increase your average age. The third thing in the process of pre-optimization that we're talking about right now, so first is payment history, second is credit age, and third, you can do simultaneously, is pay down your utilization. So you want to make sure every personal credit card account is under 30% utilization. The thing is, you can max out your personal credit cards, but you want to pay the balances down before the statement closing date. So if the closing date is the 25th of the month, you can make a payment on the 23rd or the 22nd of the month, bring that balance down. Then on that statement closing date is when the lender, the bank, will report that balance to the credit bureau, and that will be reported there for the next 30 days.
So you can use your credit cards, you just need to pay them down before the statement closing date. So you want to make sure each account is under 30%, ideally under 10%. But anything over 50%, you're going to want to focus on that first before thinking about moving to the optimization phase. So that was pre-optimization. Now we're going to go to optimization. Optimization in a nutshell, you want to do things like make sure you have at least one tier one personal credit card, which a tier one credit card is from a tier one bank, which means the top four. So Chase, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, and Citi. Those are the four tier one banks. So you want to make sure you have at least one personal credit card from one of those tier one banks. The next thing you want to look at is having at least $15,000 of personal credit limits. That's like the minimum before you really want to focus on some of these high tier cards. It's more applicable to hit that if you're going for 0% interest business funding. That's like the hard minimum we want to see. It's less of a hard minimum if your intention right now is to travel hack with credit card points. It's less of a requirement, but it's certainly helpful. Next is going to be building relationships with banks. Again, it's more important to do the relationship building if your intention is business, 0% interest business credit cards. Like if you're in the credit stacking mentorship, the more so the goal of the credit stacking mentorship is how to get people ready for business funding and how to help them get the business funding. The travel hacking with points and the credit stacking for 0% business funding, they're strategies that go somewhat parallel, but there are some differences. If your only intention is to get zero interest business credit, that strategy is going to be a little bit different and a little bit more strict than if your intention right now is to get credit, top personal credit cards, a bunch of sign-up bonuses, etc. And the thing is with personal credit cards is you don't want to apply for more than 2 in a 6-month period, specifically if your intention is business funding. Because if you apply for 4 personal credit cards right now, you get approved. And then after that, you apply for some business credit cards. The business credit cards are going to deny you for too many recently opened credit accounts. Okay. Another part of optimization is going to be disputing and removing hard inquiries that are fraudulent or you don't recognize, etc. There's strategies where you can dispute hard inquiries and get a clean slate, because the lower your hard inquiries are, the easier it is to get approved for top personal credit cards or the business credit cards. So in general, in terms of banking relationship, I would start to build a banking relationship with Chase. I'd put them at number 1 at the top. If your intention is business funding, I would do Bank of America as well. And then Wells Fargo would be the number 3 bank I would start to build a banking relationship with. If you're only going to choose one, I would start with Chase, do a personal checking account, a business checking account if you have a business, and you're going to get business credit cards as well. So that is optimization. That doing some of those steps is going to be very, very beneficial if you follow some of those steps. And that was kind of a nutshell summary, but if you follow some of those steps, it's going to be easier to get approved for personal credit cards as well as business credit cards. And one thing I will say is, when it comes to business credit cards, you can apply for 8 in the same day and get approved for all of them if everything was done before. But you would never want to apply for 8 personal credit cards in a short period of time, ever. I really wouldn't do more than 2 in a 6-month window. And another thing to consider when we start talking about sign-up bonuses, when we look at sign-up bonuses, there's going to be a minimum spend requirement. So something like spend $5,000 on the card in the first 3 months. So if you spend a lot of money on personal credit cards, maybe that spend requirement is not going to be a stretch for you. But maybe if you only spend $3,000 on personal credit cards a month, maybe a little bit more, maybe less, you want to time that out, because when you get these personal credit cards or business credit cards, you want to make sure you hit the sign-up bonus without overextending yourself. You don't want to get into debt and then have to pay interest. You want to get a card that you would comfortably spend money on and not overextend yourself. So when it comes to the type of points we're trying to earn, and let me actually show you real quick. Let me share my screen, and well, actually what I'll do is I'll post some photos of different first class and business class flights. So I think becoming a ninja at credit card points is one of the most epic skills to become good at. It has completely changed my life in terms of the way I travel, on how frequently I travel, and just the comfort I have flying around the world in business and first class. I've flown Etihad first class, Emirates first class, business class on a dozen, maybe even 20 different airlines, lot Polish, ANA, American Airlines, United Airlines, Air India, Lufthansa, a large list. And this is really only possible because I've been able to build strong credit and one, have the knowledge on how to build strong credit and then building it and then understanding the 3 steps of the point stacking, which is how to accumulate the most amount of points, how to multiply the points through transfer bonuses, and I'll show you about that. And then number 3 is how to redeem those points for the best possible deals. So real quick, I am actually going to share my screen and I will show you some of those redemptions so you can see what I'm talking about. So if we just go into here, let's see. Let's see if I have some in here. A lot of these, okay, these are some of them. These are some of the first class travels. Let's see what we have in here. This is Emirates business class with a good friend. Actually, me and like 40 friends took this flight together. It was absolutely incredible. From New York to Milan. This is on United business class. I'm not sure why that's not loading. This is Etihad first class. Qatar business class. It looks like this is loading pretty slow, so I'm going to stop showing there. But it's completely changed the game on how I've been able to travel. So this is a slide deck presentation I've given in the past, and one thing I really want to focus on first is you most likely are an American citizen or you have access to the United States banking system, which is unbelievable. We have such an amazing resource, like these top credit cards that give the credit card points, also the zero interest business credit cards. It is such an amazing resource that we have. And I feel like if you're not taking advantage of it, it can be a complete disservice to your business, to your personal life. And I will say, you don't need to have a business to take advantage of this. If you do have a business, it's certainly beneficial and helpful, and it allows you to get more credit cards, business credit cards. You have more spend on your business, so you can take advantage of a lot more of the benefits, but you don't need to have a business. So one thing I'm going to bring up real quick is the type of points, okay? There's going to be the basic points, the non-transferable bank points. These are points that you can't transfer from the bank to an airline. And that is a huge difference in all of this. If someone was doing these strategies and only getting Bank of America points, US Bank points, and Navy Federal Hub points, I'm not sure. But if you get Bank of America and US Bank, you can't transfer those points to transfer partners. And this strategy that I'm going to go through is revolving around bank transferable points. Before I get there and go into detail on what that is, so number 1, non-transferable bank points. You have a fixed value, which is typically 1 cent per point. We don't like a fixed value at all. Number 2 is going to be loyalty points. So that's going to be airline points directly with United, directly with Delta, directly with American Airlines, etc. There can be benefits of earning loyalty points, but in general, you want to get transferable bank points, okay? With loyalty points, value can increase, but you're stuck in one airline currency. Like if you earn Delta miles, you can only book through the Delta portal. If you get bank transferable points like Chase, American Express, Citi, Wells Fargo, Bilt, Capital One, American Express, if I didn't say that, those are points you can transfer from the bank portal to different airlines. And each bank will have different transfer partners, okay? And when you do that, you escape the fixed value jail that the bank puts you in. So if you were to use your Chase points in the Chase portal, if we look at 100,000 points, Chase gives you about $1,000 worth of travel to book in their portal. I just removed 2 zeros. It comes out to 1 cent per point. Okay, so you look at 100,000 points. Generally, that's $1,000 that Chase or Amex will let you book in value of travel in their portal. Sometimes you get a 50% bonus, which is really nothing when I show you what we're going to do and get 10 times more value, not just 50%, but 10 times more value when we transfer and redeem them and finding the deals with newsletters and finding the deals on deal softwares, etc. So it's very important that you focus on earning the bank transferable points. If I sound repetitive, it's intentional because there's people that I'm friends with, or even family members that are successful. They have successful businesses, and they're asking me how to do what I've been doing with credit card points and travel. And I ask what credit cards they have, and I ask what points they have. And one of my cousins, specifically, who has a successful accounting firm, he only has Bank of America cards, and he's been earning Bank of America points, which is a huge mistake because they're not transferable. So this is very important to understand in full, and don't focus on earning non-transferable points. You want to do transferable points, which let me show you this visual right here. Again, Chase, Wells Fargo, American Express, Citi, Capital One, and Bilt. That's 6 of them. The ones on the right here, you're going to want to avoid. One other thing to make note of is because there's airline alliances, just because I transfer Amex points to ANA Airlines, the Japanese airline, doesn't mean I can't book other airline operators. So if you look here in the Star Alliance, ANA is in the same alliance as Lot Polish, for example. I'm in Poland right now, and I flew here from Chicago to Krakow for 50,000 points, transferred from American Express to ANA Airlines, and I booked a Lot Polish flight on ANA Airlines. This is because Lot Polish opened up award space, basically tickets you can book with points. They opened it up to ANA, so you can use ANA points to book the Lot Polish flight, which was an absolute game changer. I've flown to Poland 3 or 4 times for 50,000 points in business class. Lot Polish, not the best business class, but it's pretty damn good. The food's good. The flight attendants are fantastic. The seat is good. It's not the best, but it's like overall, I'm super happy with it, especially paying 50,000 points. If you use 50,000 points in the American Express portal, they would give you $500 of value to book a flight. If you booked a flight from Miami to Seattle in the bank portal, it will probably cost you 50,000 points because that flight's probably $500. It might be $400. Maybe it'll cost 40,000 points. But here I'm using 50,000 points to fly from Chicago to Poland, and I've been doing this for the last few months. It's incredible. When we look at the different banks, they do have different partners. So this is the American Express, this is Chase, this is Citi. A lot of them are similar, but some have exclusive partnerships with airlines. So for example, Bilt is a program. You can get a Bilt credit card, put your rent or mortgage on the Bilt card. It's a pretty sweet deal. And they have an exclusive with Alaska Airlines. I don't fly Alaska Airlines, but Alaska Airline miles are very valuable, and you can book American Airlines with Alaska Airline miles. You can book other airlines, again, in the alliance. So we look at the One World. You can book possibly Iberia, LATAM. I just flew to Brazil on LATAM Airlines from Miami to Brazil, Brazil back to Miami, round trip business class for 100,000 Alaska Airline miles. Again, I earned Bilt points, transferred Bilt to Alaska Airlines, the only bank you can transfer to Alaska Airlines, and I booked a LATAM Airlines round trip business flight for, again, this was 100,000 points. That was instead of, I think, $5,000. So I used $1,000 worth of points. 100,000 points is generally worth $1,000. That's what the bank will give you. I transferred them, and I used those $1,000 worth of points to book like a $5,000, maybe a 6,000 round trip flight business class down to Brazil and back. Let's see what else on here I can pull up. I mean, this is Etihad first class. I want to show you other examples. This is Lufthansa business class right here. This is Air France business class. And all these redemptions are between 50,000 and maybe as high as 80,000 points. Really good deals. This is Maldives Ritz-Carlton. This is Bora Bora St. Regis. It's a little different on the using points for hotels. It's harder to get as good of a value, but you still can get really, really good values. Okay, so we talked about getting strong personal credit. We talked about earning the right points, but now let's jump into the point stacking framework on how to accumulate points, on how to multiply the points, and how to redeem the points. I don't even think I have specific slides to go over, but we're going to go off the dome here, and we're going to go through different newsletters. Actually, this is a great section to jump into, this slide deck right here. So this right here is different newsletters. And I'm going to give you a quick glimpse of these screenshots, and then I'm going to go into my email and show you newsletters because that's going to help you find deals. Excuse me, I skipped a couple steps. I'm going to show you how to accumulate the most amount of points. When it comes to accumulating the most amount of points, we're going to do that through two main strategies. The first one is going to be getting all of the best credit cards that help you earn the most amount of points for every dollar you spend. So if we look at this slide right here, this is going to be for everyday spend, okay? So you have to think about, where does your business or your personal life spend money? Do you spend it on groceries? Do you spend it on hotels, airlines? Do you spend money on rent or a mortgage? We want to make sure that every dollar you spend on is on the best credit card that's going to earn you the most amount of points for every dollar spent. So your floor should be 2 points per dollar spent on everything, okay? Either the Capital One Venture or the Capital One Venture X. That should be your floor. So not using debit when you're earning 0 points, not using a cash back card. Real quick, let me talk about cashback cards. Cashback cards may be good for the average person, but if you like to travel and you like getting creative and you want to get really good deals on business class flights through the strategies I'm teaching and about to get into in this presentation, you want to avoid cashback cards, because when you think about it, cashback is just giving you a fixed value, maybe 2% cashback, maybe even 4% cashback. I want to earn 4 points. When I earn 4 points, I'm going to have the ability, if I earn the right type of points, bank transferable points, I can transfer those points to the airline and then potentially get 10 times more value. Like some of those examples I gave you, that was 5 times more value. I'll show you some 10 times more value examples. When you earn cash back, you're earning a fixed value, 2%, 3%, 4%. It's fixed. There's no wiggle room. If you earn non-transferable bank points, you have a fixed valuation. I don't like fixed valuations. I like to be able to lever up and get much better deals and take advantage of these good deals. So I always use points cards. So let me break this down. So the Amex Gold is a really good card, 4 points per dollar spent on groceries and 4 points per dollar spent on dining. It's basically, you get 4 points per dollar spent on the top 2 categories of spend each month. So groceries, dining. I forget the other categories on the personal gold, but most people have grocery spend. Put that on the personal gold. Most people have personal dining. You put that on the personal gold here. So those categories, you use your personal Amex Gold. For rent or your mortgage payment, you would want to use your Bilt card. Okay, the Bilt card allows you to pay rent and mortgage on the Bilt card. And if you put enough spend on the card, there's no transaction fee. They just updated their program, but basically how it works, say for example, your monthly rent is, we'll call it $3,000. If your rent is $3,000 or your mortgage payment is $3,000, maybe it's more. If you spend $3,000 on other things on the Bilt card, you not only earn enough Bilt cash to cover the mortgage transaction fee, but you also earn 2 Bilt points per dollar spent on non-rent or mortgage transactions. On the rent transaction or mortgage, you earn 1 point per dollar spent. So let me break this down. If your rent or mortgage is 3,000 points, and you also spend $3,000 on other things on the Bilt card, like Amazon, haircut, chair, furniture, other things, 3,000, then your mortgage or rent payment, there's no transaction fee, and you earn 3,000 points for your rent or mortgage, if it's 3,000. And then on the other 3,000 you put on the card, you're earning 2 points per dollar spent. So in that example, you're earning 9,000 Bilt points every single month. If you do that over a year, what is that? 9 times 12. I don't have that off the top of my head. That's almost 100,000. Is it over? Around 100,000 points. In the example I just gave you earlier, on my LATAM business class round trip flight from Miami to Brazil, that cost me 100,000 points. In Alaska, Bilt is the only program you can transfer into Alaska Airlines and then book the LATAM flight. And you can book many other flights. I booked a flight from Chicago to Barcelona for 55,000 points on Alaska Airlines business class. I did it for me, my mom, my brother, 3 people, 55,000 points each. So that's the significance of getting the Bilt card and paying your rent or mortgage on it and putting some other spend on the Bilt card. So then I also love the Wells Fargo Autograph Journey card. This is a controversial take because I personally use this card over the Chase Sapphire Reserve or over the Chase Sapphire Preferred because the Autograph Journey by Wells Fargo gives you 5 points per dollar spent on hotels directly with the hotel, 4 points per dollar spent on airlines directly with the airline, which I rarely book flights with my credit card instead of points. Sometimes I do. Sometimes if the deal's not good enough, I'm just going to spend cash, is what I call it, spend cash, use my card to buy the flight. If I'm not getting a good redemption with my points, I'm just going to pay the flight with my credit card. With this credit card directly with the airline because it gives me 4 points per dollar spent. Everything else with travel, I earn 3 points per dollar spent. For dining, this is a mistake actually. Dining should be over in the Amex Gold section. With the Chase Sapphire Reserve, it gives you more points per dollar spent on travel, but it has to be booked through the Chase portal. Like this gives you 10 points per dollar spent on hotels, but it has to be done in the Chase portal. I find the hotels and flights in the Chase portal, one, to not even be a better deal, and two, it's kind of annoying to have to log into the bank portal and like book it before like the app logs you out of your bank portal. And it's just a bit finicky. And if you don't book it fast enough, then it logs you out, then you log back in and find the travel section. I just find it to be pretty inconvenient. The negative about earning Wells Fargo points is they have less travel partners. So if we go down to this other slide and look at, I don't even have a slide in Wells Fargo because this presentation is actually old. And Wells Fargo Transfer Partners is actually a newer thing, but there's less transfer partners of Wells Fargo, which is something to consider. But the transfer partners are pretty decent, like Air France, KLM, I think Iberia, British Airways, a couple others. But it's pretty good. But it is something to consider. So what the Bilt card did, sorry to switch gears so fast if it is fast. I used to use the Capital One Venture 2X on everything. Now with the Bilt card, now they offer 2X on everything. With the Bilt Palladium card, it's a higher tier card at Bilt. There is an annual fee, but it is very good. But regardless, you should either have the Bilt or the Capital One Venture or the Capital One Venture X. I think the Capital One Venture is totally fine. It earns you 2 points on everything. So again, if it's groceries or dining, you put on the Amex Personal Gold. If it's hotel or airlines or other travel, you put on the Autograph Journey by Wells Fargo. If it's anything else, a couch, electronics, Amazon, a chair, Anything else aside from what I just listed on the personal gold and autograph journey, you put on either the built or the capital and venture to get 2 points per dollar spent, which again should be the floor. If you go on the business side, I'll just do a quick recap because I know this slide is kind of taken long, but travel expenses, the Chase Business Inc. Preferred is really good. The Chase Sapphire Reserve for Business is really good for travel. The Platinum card on the American Express is not good. The Amex Platinum doesn't earn you that many points unless you earn the points, unless you book the travel in the portal. I don't like booking the travel in the portal. Another good business card is the Amex Business Gold card. Again, 4 points per dollar spent on the top 2 categories: dining, ads, electronics, software, etc. Okay, I'm going to move forward, but this is a crucial step, is making sure you get the right cards based on where you personally spend money or where your business spends money, so you earn the most amount of points per dollar spent. The last card I'll add here on the business side is the American Express Business Blue Plus card, because it earns you 2 points per dollar spent on everything. So I have a 2 points per dollar spent floor card on the business side and a 2 points per dollar spent personal card. So wherever I'm spending money, I'm at least earning 2 points per dollar spent. That's a very important concept to understand and to implement, just to make sure you're accumulating as many points as you possibly can. When it comes to the next part of accumulation, we're going to talk about different sign-up bonuses. So I like to look at this great resource by Upgraded Points. If you just Google best sign-up bonuses and scroll down on Google or whatever and find this Upgraded Points, this is where I go on a monthly basis. I don't always apply for a card every month, which you should not, by the way, but I always look at the best sign-up bonus so I understand what the best offers are. So we can see 11 best personal cards. I like to look at new offer or elevated offer. Is there anything in red? 75 points is pretty good. I got this card when it was 100,000 points, when it was elevated. Sometimes this Capital One has a sweeter deal than this currently. If we look lower, we look at the business credit cards. This is as high as 300,000. It depends on the targeting to you. New offer as high as 200,000. That's crazy. New offer, 100,000 on the Inc. Preferred card. So I like to just see what the offers are looking like and understanding the deals. And I like to take advantage of when they are elevated. Okay. So when you click like this, for example, there's going to be some sign-up bonus requirements, like spending money on the card. So to get the 75,000 points, you do need to spend money on the card, which maybe if we just look at the top, it's going to show. Let's go to card details. So you need to spend 5,000 in the first 3 months. Again, just make sure that fits into your budget. Maybe do 1 at a time, maybe do 2 at a time, but you don't want to overextend yourself, and you do want to make sure you hit the sign-up bonus. So that's going to conclude accumulation. Now we're going to talk about multiplying your points, and we do that through transfer bonuses. Let's see if I can find a slide on transfer bonuses. But it's basically when you transfer your points from the portal to different airlines. Sometimes they'll give you a bonus when you do that. So for example, an example of a sign-up bonus would be when you transfer points to KLM Air France, and they give you a 30% transfer bonus. So this means if you transfer 100,000 points, they're going to give you a 30% bonus, which means 30,000 extra points. So transferring 100,000 points will result in 130,000 points. I don't think I have any visuals right now to show you on transfer bonuses. Let's see if I do. I don't think I do. I mean, it's not a hard concept, but if you go into the different, parts of the bank portal, you go to the travel section, you go to like redeem points, and then you look for transfer your points. And then you can sometimes see when there's transfer bonuses. And if there's a good bonus, that would be a good time to transfer your points. One thing to consider is when you transfer your points, they are stuck. You can't move them again. When you transfer them to KLM Air France or ANA Airlines or United Airlines, they are then stuck in that point currency. So just keep that in mind. But if it's a really good really good transfer bonus, like 40%, 50%, sometimes as high as 160%, sometimes I'll speculate that transfer into that currency. But just know if you transfer them, you can't transfer them back. So a lot of times, like Amex and Chase did this. They had a 40% transfer bonus into Virgin Atlantic. One thing about Virgin is you can, because Virgin is in the same alliance as Delta Airlines, you can book Delta flights with Virgin Airlines, which is absolutely incredible. So if you live by a Delta hub, I have found much better deals booking that Delta flight with Virgin Airlines than paying cash or even booking with Delta Airlines. For some reason, there's just better deals with Virgin to book Delta than booking Delta with Delta. One card I would avoid is any of the Delta credit cards. I would not want to earn Delta points through a Delta credit card because Delta points don't give you that good of redemptions. It's just they have bad redemptions. So I would never want to spend money on a Delta card. If you have a Delta card and you're spending on it, I personally think that's a big mistake because even if you're earning 3 Delta points per dollar spent, I would want to use a different travel card like the Chase Ink Preferred or the Wells Fargo Autograph Journey or the Chase Sapphire Preferred or the Reserve and earn 3 or more Chase points or Wells Fargo points instead of Delta points, because Delta points, you're stuck in Delta and there's not even good redemptions. So I would avoid spending money on Delta cards. Okay, so where are we going to take it from here? We talked about multiplication, transferring the points to transfer partners. One thing I will show you, actually, this is a pretty spectacular, I'll show you, this is going to be a redemption. And before that, it was actually a transfer bonus. So this is going to be Bora Bora Conrad. Let's see, this is going to be a little bit out of order. Bora Bora Conrad. This was what it would have costed in cash, which I think is about $10,000. I have a conversion. We go up here. This is where I learned about the deal, which was on the newsletter, which I'll show you. This was the deal on the newsletter. And we can see on the calendar what it looks like. If you book 5 nights, they give you 1 for free. So you only pay for 4 nights. That was a reservation for 480,000 points. Here's the transfer bonus. 1,000 points equals 2,600. I think this is 160% transfer bonus. So when I transferred 185,000 Amex points, it turned into 481,000 Hilton points. So this is how you multiply your points. And again, I only need 480,000 points to book this 5-night reservation. And I showed you the cash cost, even though it was in a different currency. If we look here, again, this is just the receipt of it. And this is the conversion. That was the cash cost in the franc currency, almost $10,000. Okay. So 185,000 points gave me enough Hilton points because I multiplied them to book basically a $10,000 hotel reservation in Bora Bora. If I were to book travel in American Express portal, I want you to think real quick. If you had 185,000 points in Amex, how much travel would Amex give you? What dollar amount? Remember, 1 cent per point. So if we do the conversion, we just take 2 zeros away. Amex would give you $1,850 worth of travel, flights, and hotels booked in the Amex portal. I just showed you an example of a $10,000 reservation. So that's over a 5x multiplier. I got over 5 times more value because I transferred the points on a bonus and I booked it with the notification of a newsletter, which I'll show you. And that's how you snipe a good deal and maximize your redemption. So with that being said, now I do want to show you the newsletters. I gave you a sneak peek earlier. Now we're going to jump in. There's 2 different newsletters. This is how you get notified of certain deals. They're straight to the points. And there's a second one I'll show you as well. This is what it looks like in your inbox. These do cost a little bit of money. I think it's like either $10 a month or maybe 15 or like $100 a year. Highly worth it. You don't have to do both, but I would highly recommend to do one of them. So you see these emails coming in basically every kind of other day, sometimes multiple a day. You can see there's deals to Chile, to Europe, to Japan, to Spain, all around the world. Taipei, it's incredible. So this is what the newsletter looks like. It shows you what the seat looks like. It shows you the available dates, business class, first class. This is me on the double-decker Emirates A380 first class. Business class also has access to this. I've flown business class on it, on the A380 aircraft, and also first class. It shows you all the information you need to know on how to book this, okay? Another example is Q suites from all these different airports all around the world. Chicago to Doha, Doha, Qatar, back to Chicago, Washington, D.C. This is just a screenshot. There was like all these different airports. It shows you can book this for 85,000 Alaska miles or 70,000 American airline miles. You can get that on one sign-up bonus. On the Aviator Red, for example, the sign-up bonus is sometimes 70,000. You spend $1 on the American Airlines Barclays Aviator Red card. You get 70,000 miles just from one sign-up bonus. And you can book this basically like a $7,000 seat. Sometimes it's even more. It's insane. So anyways, these are the newsletters. These are just kind of screenshots from the newsletters. And let's see if I go to my... No, I don't even have it pulled up. So we're not going to look. But basically the inbox looks like this. Just sends you emails all the time. So when I see a location that I want to travel to, then I'll open the email and see if the dates work for me. So if I wanted to travel to Europe this any time of the year, this is the route from JFK to MXP, which is Milan, Italy. If I was interested in that destination, I would click the email. I would look at the routes. I would look at the date availability, and I'll look at how much it would cost me. You could see one way through Japan Airlines, business class, 42,000 miles. It's absolutely mental. Okay, so that's newsletters. Straight to the points or Thrifty Traveler is going to be the second one. We'll drop the link for Thrifty Traveler right down below if you want to sign up through our affiliate link. I'd highly recommend it. I think it's about $100 a year for Thrifty Traveler. I used to have both. Now I only have Thrifty Traveler. This is the layout of Thrifty Traveler. I think it's a little cleaner, and they basically show the same deals. So this is what it looks like. You can see Qatar Q suites and first class. It's truly incredible. So the next thing I'm going to show is the deal softwares. And actually, my intention wasn't even to go through this presentation, but it's actually super good. So I'm going to show you. There's a couple different deal softwares. If I was going to do domestic flights, or I needed to be somewhere on a specific date, I would use Point.me. Point.me, it's a very good interface, but it's limited by you only can put in one airport from and one airport to on one date. So you can't search a week time frame unless you had 7 windows pulled up. I think there's a good purpose for Point.me. I usually use it for domestic flights or if like I need to go on a specific date because I only can search one date. That's fine. But if I was trying to snipe out the best deal, I would use other softwares. For example, let's see if I have other softwares. This is all screenshots from Point.me, by the way. I would pull up just if I was using Point.me to search a week time frame, I would just pull up seven different windows and just change the date on every single window. These are screenshots. Like, look how good the interface is. I would avoid tickets that have a high amount in fees, which there's a filter for. But the deal software I use the most is going to be Seats.aero. That's the link right there. You can put in the different features, the multiple airports that you want to fly from. For example, if you live in Utah, Salt Lake City Airport is not a good international airport. If you live in San Diego, San Diego is not a good international airport. Instead, I would look from availability from these bigger airports. Like San Diego's on there, but realistically, you're not going to find much from San Diego. LAX is going to be much better. Houston's going to be much better. Maybe even San Francisco, depending on which direction, east or west, you're going to. And then put a few different airports on where you're trying to go. If you're excuse me, if you're trying to go to Europe and you don't really care where you land, then this is perfect. Also, if you're in San Diego in that example, you can take a positioning flight from San Diego to Houston for maybe 150 bucks or 15,000 points, get over to Houston, and then you're going to find your really good redemptions from Houston, most likely. So you can do your search, your filtering. You can click this business class section. It's going to show you all the business class flights, for example, from Houston to Amsterdam in business class for 50,000 points. That's an absolute deal. That's instead of spending like $5,000. So in that example, that's a 10x multiplier. You're getting 10 times more value if you transfer your points from Wells Fargo to Air France Flying Blue. Flying Blue is the currency of Air France, and you book this flight for 50,000 points business class instead of $5,000. Again, if you used 50,000 points in the Amex or Chase portal, they would give you $500 of value. By doing this, you just found a deal where you're getting 10 times more value. That's with the assumption the business class flight is $5,000, but that's a pretty fair assumption. You can go to Google Flights right now and see what a business class flight from Houston to Amsterdam would cost. My guess is about $5,000. So in that rough example, you're getting 10 times more value by transferring the points, or first finding the deal. Then what you would actually want to do is go make a free Flying Blue account, log in, confirm the deal is there. When you see the deal on Air France, then you can transfer your points from the bank over to Flying Blue and then book it. So that's a rough overview of using Seats.aero. You can also search by continents like Europe or North America or the United States. You can search continents basically or countries. It's pretty killer. And then one thing I would do, this is very important, is searching the aircraft. So I like to study the aircraft and the seat layout of what I'm booking before I book it. So for example, if we go here, let me actually just do, yeah, let's do KLM. Okay, so we're gonna look at KLM. There's a ton of different aircraft types. So if we look at this, very basic E175, this is gonna be a very small plane. So if you book a first class ticket here, you're gonna be sitting in one of these seats. I guess technically they don't even have first class, but regardless, that's a very basic aircraft type. If we go here, Boeing 737 300ER, we're going to see some better seats. But sometimes there's even different versions. There's like version 1, 2, 3, 4, and we want to see what this seat actually looks like before we book it. So I can see here, this is their older style seat. Still pretty good, but it's not like, not to die for. It's not killer. If we look at the 787-10, we can see these seats look about the same. Oops, let's get out of here. I'm trying to show you a really good example of their new seats. No, this is the same type of seat. There are some new seats. I'm not ultra familiar with KLM, so I don't know the aircraft of where those new seats are. I guess let's maybe check the 200. Probably. Okay. So here's an example of there's two versions. Choosing KLM in this quick example is not the best, but you can look, basically you can find the aircraft type when you're booking the flight. You click details and it's going to show you the aircraft type. Then you come here and make sure it's an aircraft type with a good seat layout. So in the details, if it said on the KLM flight, 777-200ER, it's not going to show you the version, but it's going to show you 777-200ER, for example, and you come on here, and a lot of times there's actually photos that you can see. I'm not sure why it's actually not going back for me right here, but when there's a little photo, you can see, let's see the 787-10. What is the aircraft type with the new seat? I'm not sure, but sometimes let's do the A330-300. So this one is even an older seat, I think. I think some of the new ones have privacy doors, or at least specifically Air France. Maybe KLM didn't get new ones. They're basically like the same, similar airlines, I think same owners, something like that. But anyways, I would study the seat layout and then understand what I'm booking and then book it. And then after you book it, then you want to actually choose your seat. Okay. So if you go on here, I'm just going to show you briefly what this looks like. This was a different resource where you can search the aircraft type Aerolupa. I use Seats, seatmaps.com. This is just kind of showing you, here's a good example. So here's Qatar Airways A330-200. This is business class. This is the Qatar Airways Airbus A350-900. This is a nicer seat, right? Look at the left one, look at the right one. This is both booking business class, different aircraft type, okay? Obviously, or maybe it's not obvious, but you would want the one on the right. There's more privacy, there's more space. This person in the window seat on the left doesn't have to jump over the person sitting to their right. The A350-900 on the right is a much better seat. Here's an even crazier example. This is also booking Qatar Airways business class. The Airbus A350-1000, this is the Q suites. So this is all booking business class on Qatar Airways, but 3 different aircrafts. So imagine you think you're booking this one right here. Epic seat. I've flown it before, 14 hours, epic. Like this is the best business class. There's first class and there's business class. This is the best business class seat there is, in my opinion. I'm pretty sure other people would agree. It's insane. But imagine thinking you're booking this, and then you get this on the left here, the A330. You know, it's a big difference. So that's why I study the layout first before I book. And then after you book, you want to go get your confirmation code from your confirmation email, and then go to the operating airline website or the app and choose your seat. I always like booking the bulkhead. The front is going to be more space than the back. And sometimes it even says that. If we go to the 777-300R here, sometimes it doesn't tell you, but I like to book the bulkhead. The negative is you're closer to the galley. For example, I wouldn't book 2K because it's close to the bathroom, but this side, there's no bathroom right here. But I would book 1A because this is going to be a larger footwell. There's going to be more space for sure. If that was unavailable, I'd book like 3 or 4 just so the flight attendant's walking by me a lot less, and I'm farther from the galley. So you want to look at the seat map. There's even notes. Like this one is missing a window close to the galley. You know, this one, in my opinion, is too close to the restroom. You don't really want to do that. So I would study and then book after you book the flight, then you choose your seat. So that is a quick overview of what I'm looking for on how to maximize this strategy. You first want to understand how to build a strong credit first, understanding what personal credit cards you should be applying for based on where you're spending money. Also based on the sign-up bonuses, based on what banks are giving you bank transferable points, and then understanding how to accumulate them through sign-up bonuses, as well as using the right card based on dining, travel, groceries, gas stations, etc. And then using the newsletters and using the deal softwares to find the deals, and then multiplying your points through transfer bonuses. And then after you book the flight, you want to pick your seat. It's an absolute game changer. So with that being said, we're going to wrap up. Hopefully you got some great value from this call. That being said, I'll see you in the next.
I hope you got some insane value from this video. I hope you took notes, and I hope you're going to implement all these things I talked about in this video. If this is interesting to you and you want to take it to the next level, I want to invite you into the credit stacking and the point stacking mastermind. This is where I teach these frameworks in even more detail. We have coaching calls, we have training videos, we have a private community, etc. That link to join is right down below. For a very small monthly subscription, you can get access into these 2 groups. Click that link right down below. It's creditstacking.com. And then in the checkout, just toggle on for the point stacking mastermind for an extra $50 a month. If you want to build the strongest personal credit possible so you can get approved for the best personal travel cards, the best business credit cards, 0% interest business credit cards, and learn deeper frameworks on how to travel hack and use your points for free travel, this is a perfect group for you. For only a very low monthly membership, you can get access. So that link is right down below. Hope to see you in the group. If not, subscribe to the channel, and I'll look forward to the next video.